power today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around this beautiful, beautiful world. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce you today to the one and only Leora, which is a speaker coach. And I'm so happy that I have you today in the house, as all of you guys are going to have two speaker coaches today in the house. So this is your chance to put in the comments all kind of questions you've got. Good morning, Leora.
Good morning to you. Well, it's morning where I am anyway.
It is. By the way, it's 6 a.m. for Leora right now because you are in
Oak
West
Park,
Coast?
Illinois, right outside of Chicago. Chicago.
Thank you so much for joining me so early in the morning, and good afternoon to all of you. Put in the comments where you're watching it from, and just to say hi to me and to Leora this morning and afternoon for all of you in Europe. And again, all kind of questions, just put them in the comments below. I'm gonna ask them on behalf of you because I've got my own questions. I'm gonna take a full advantage of having Leora as a guest in my show again. So big thank you for coming and joining me so early in the morning. So let's start directly. What is your philosophy? For all of you watching, I just want to say this. Leora Dowling came to one of my masterminds, and she is an amazing, super powerful speaker coach. And when she came, I was thinking, holy shit, she's going to be bored, like super bored. But then Leora has this amazing philosophy about why people should actually have their speaking skills upskilled. So let us know, what is your philosophy when it comes to public speaking?
Thank you. This is my raison d'etre. I exist to remind people that they have a story and they should share it with joy. And it's not as hard as people think. It's very exciting, and it's this wonderful feeling of generosity. I use a concept. I'll jump right into it. It's the gift concept, Billy, and it's a concept that says, if my audience is giving me their most precious gift, time and attention, well, time, the biggie, right? Attention, they'll give it to me at first, and then if I don't show up, it wanes. But their time is their most precious gift. What gift can I give them? And I believe if the speaker is thinking about her or his audience rather than me, I'm being watched, I'm being judged, I'm being scrutinized. If you're thinking about your audience, then you're giving them a gift, they're giving you a gift, and that wonderful connection starts, and that everybody is happy. And that is that feeling you want with an audience. So if you're thinking of your audience and not yourself, it's a whole lot less stressful, and it's a whole lot more joyful. It doesn't have to be a chore, it doesn't have to be scary. It can be this wonderful moment of connectivity with another human or many humans.
That's exactly why I invited you here, because I wanted all of you guys to hear that from Leora. Like, always think, when you stand on stage, that you're giving a gift to the audience. That's gonna literally wipe off all the pressure off your shoulders. It's gonna be gone, and you're gonna really perform in a completely different way, in a very genuine way and very generous way as well. So let me know, how did you get involved in the business as a speaker coach? Because that's an interesting one.
Well, it's a long story because I'm old, but I'll make it short. Back in the day, I went into college and I had a teacher the first day of school, the first class, who told me to get up and sing, and I don't sing. I'm a terrible singer. Truly, still flat, not good. And I was mortified, and I just melted, and I felt so embarrassed and humiliated, and I never wanted to feel that way again. So I did drop the class because I was a chicken, But I also I also joined the radio station, and thus began unexpectedly a career in broadcasting. So when I retired from radio, I was the news director at a rather large radio station in Connecticut, the East Coast of the United States. And I left that job, got married, and went back to graduate school and then started teaching. So then my next job, my next career was all about talking. And when I moved to Vermont, which is also in New England, but north, so beautiful, cold in winter, gorgeous autumn leaves, and a very small population, I was working at a college and they needed someone to teach the public speaking class. And they knew I had worked in radio. So they said, hey, would you do it? And I said, sure. And then I had to really deal with the reality of people who were as frightened as I had been and who didn't know how to use their voices or their bodies or put together the structure of a presentation that is impactful and effective, but also enjoyable for the audience and the speaker. So that's my backstory. People kept saying, why are you giving away this information? And I was like, oh, well, you know. And eventually I just started as a sideline coaching. And now this is what I do full time. I stopped teaching officially at the college and now I'm here. So yay.
I love it. You also mentioned when we were chatting backstage, you also mentioned that you use a lot of TEDx talks. So tell me how you use them in your
Gosh, the TEDx talks and the TED Talks were such a huge part of my curriculum because they addressed all the issues that my students were concerned about and my clients were concerned about. Everything from Amy Cuddy's massively impressive TED Talk about presence to TED Talks about looks and insecurity and how to do a TED Talk. But I have to say, I learned a whole lot from you about how to do a TED Talk. But my students would watch, and not only would they hear information, but they would see how a good speaker connects using voice, body, smile, other facial expressions, and image, clothing, makeup, jewelry, lack of makeup, jewelry, but not clothing, and humor. So all those things are available in TED Talks, and there are many TED Talks to choose from. So it was pretty great, and they enjoyed them, and I would have them go out to find the ones they wanted to share with each other, so that introduced them to more and more content and information that they in turn shared with each other. So the gift, you know, give.
Absolutely. To all of you watching, please do follow Leora on LinkedIn. I'm going to put the link in a minute because she's absolutely amazing. As you can see, that's why I'm so happy to have you as a guest here. And make sure you connect with her and speak with her, as that's going to be a huge value of you. I can't see comments right now. It's happening again. I don't know why, but please put in the comments where you're watching it from. Put the hashtag live if you're watching it live, or hashtag replay if you're watching it on the replay. If you have any kind of questions to Leora, to myself, please put them in the comments. I can't see them right now, but I'll make sure that we both answer offline if I still cannot see them as we're live. Or I'm gonna keep my eye on the comments. So if they comes up at some point, I don't know. Somehow StreamYard has been playing a bit lately, and I can't see comments sometimes. So I will make sure that we both answer later on. So talking about using TEDx Talk is very interesting. I have to admit here that sometimes I use TEDx Talks to show people something specific, and I love how you say, like, teaching the people, like, about small elements like the jewelries they're using, they put, because that sometimes affects the audio quality, you know, clothing, what they chose, the microphones, everything makes huge impact after this, to the video, to the quality of the video itself, to the presentation itself, etc. And I'm admitting sometimes I use TEDx talks to say, like, don't do these mistakes.
Yeah.
Because it's so obvious. Like, and if it's okay, I will share. I'm not going to share names, but there is a huge person that is like a huge name, a YouTuber actually with huge following, and that person did a TEDx talk, wasn't prepared at all. So the person went on TEDx not really prepared, and that was the time when it was lockdown, so we were all locked in our houses, and it was recorded.
Better to do than practice.
Exactly. I'm not gonna say anything as a comment, but what I noticed, it was on Zoom, which was kind of a way of, you know, TEDx talks keep going, which was great, honestly, and I'm so appreciative to all the teams of TEDx organizers doing it. But the person went completely unprepared, and it was literally just like jumping from one thought to another thought to something else. Like, there was no structure. And it's amazing that regardless that person is a YouTuber, has millions of followers on YouTube, honestly, that TEDx talk went nowhere because people didn't like it. And they basically most probably clicked away too quickly because, like, the person was just jumping like this, right? And there was no one wisdom to take away. There was no takeaway from that talk, basically. It was very interesting, but the title was really good, very catchy. So yes, I'm so happy to hear that even in your practice as a speaker, which is not specifically TEDx, you use TEDx talks to as aids, what you call them, like teaching aids to show the people to what to do or what not to do, both ways. So it's good.
That's really true. And I think there's something about watching a video, Billy, that changes one element of a public speaking event or a speech, if you want to just go straight and simple. When a person is live and you're in the room, the words, honestly, the words aren't as important as the presentation, the body, the voice, the seduction that can come with a good speaker, someone who has millions of followers, right? But when it's on the little screen with all the distractions of life around us, the words and the structure become far more important because people can pay it and do pay attention to that element more than they might in a live situation. Do you know what does that make any sense?
Totally, yes.
So
yeah, and I always say that it's even harder because the moment when your video is on YouTube, guys, the people click away very quickly. If the moment when you don't like something or like you lost them, if they're in the room with you, exactly. If they're in the room with you, what happens is that they're going to be physically there. Obviously, they can't escape from that chair, from that room, but their mind is going to be miles away. But if it's on any kind of platforms like YouTube, Vimeo, any kind of platforms that they're watching or listening a video, they click away. It's literally, they just click away and they continue with something else. So you have to have that structure, what Leora was saying. And that leads to my next question. What makes someone a good speaker?
Let me start by saying that I think a lot of people think that it's a God-given gift. You know, you're born with the ability to just stand up and speak. Well, I'm proof that that's not true. It's a learnable, teachable skill. But what makes, I think, what distinguishes a good speaker from an okay speaker or a great speaker from a good speaker is a great speaker is not, they're not all uptight about being in their body. They're not concerned with this. They've done the best they can. I always joke and say, if I have, like last night when I went to bed, I knew I wasn't going to wake up this morning 20 pounds thinner and 20 years younger. But you wake up and you do the best you can. So you go in and you do whatever. And then you just have to rely on your self-confidence, your knowledge of your topic, and your desire to share and give and connect. And I think that and energy, having the dynamic energy, I've heard so often people say, making a speech is like having a conversation. No, it's not. Having a conversation is like you and me sitting here and not necessarily animated, and our voices can just kind of talking to people takes some energy and some desire to be heard and connect. So that to me makes all the difference. Like, does that make sense? I know it does to me, but
it makes an absolute sense. The body language, the tone of the voice, the image what you create, that energy what you put in whatever you're saying, and yeah, the generosity what you're passing through, it's absolutely amazing. I love it. We've got comments coming in now. Shrenik, good afternoon to you, dear. You're in London, I know. Good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for watching us. So for all of you watching, if you have any kind of questions, put them in the comments and we're gonna answer, because very soon we're gonna actually close up the room, but I've got a few more questions.
Oh, okay.
I love watching and listening to you. How do you help people when they have anxiety? I think that is the biggest problem, what people think that, oh my God, I got too much anxiety, like eyeballs on me, that creates anxiety. They have this rush directly in their body. What you can give right now as tips and how to get over that anxiety?
Okay, well, there are a few things that we can all do, because it's normal to feel nervous. If it's important, you're going to feel that nervousness. But remember that inside your body and brain, fear and excitement pretty much send out the same sciencey stuff. I know that sounds lame, but I was an English major. So what happens in you is you react kind of in a fear, like a hyper fear way. And if you could just mindset switch that to excitement, and seeing it and feeling it as excitement and using that energy to be animated, to be smiling, that's helpful. But before that, I always go back to self-confidence. You have to believe that you can speak well. You have to think you deserve to speak well and be effective. Practice, of course, you know this, but that notion of giving a gift helps relieve so much of that anxiety. And I work one-on-one with people. So it's just me and you, and we're talking, and we try to figure out if there's something holding you back. What happened in high school or elementary school or at home when you were a little kid that may have gotten in the way of you feeling like you deserve to have your voice heard? So there are a number of things, from prayer and meditation to power poses, to just eating the right food and drinking tepid water. There are myriad ways to get over it, but the first thing you have to do is really be comfortable in your own skin. And I help people get there.
I love it. Yes, you do. I totally love your style. As you were during that masterclass where you joined, at some point you were giving a lot of tips, and I was like, I'm gonna just zip it. Like it was so good. I was like, I'm just gonna sit and like totally absorb what Leora was saying, because it was advices. Training is saying wonderful tips to become great speaker. Leora, thank you so much for giving them. You know, that rush, what you are talking about, here's, guys, something what I'm totally not ashamed to say it out loud and you know, like share with you. I stopped counting how many times I've been on stage. Somewhere after the number 100 something, I stopped counting them. Even though still, before I go on stage, even I come on live here, I have that rush adrenaline inside. I can, like, it doesn't matter how many they are right now, like way above 100, because that was several years ago when I stopped counting them. I still have that rush. But what I love what you say, Leora, I use that rush from the other, like I really twist that rush in different way, as a giving it as a gift. I didn't do it as a gift specifically, but I love your mindset gift teaching, really. What I was a lot more doing it as if I'm on stage with audience in front of me, I would have that rush because I have literally that adrenaline always comes from the whole thing, like, am I gonna be like really say everything what I want to say in the way how I really want to be powerfully said, right? And I don't want to forget something. But then what I learned is to clear out my mind and go empty, as people, you know, as usually we speaker coaches say, like, go empty, because you know what you're gonna say. Just don't worry about the content that much. And what I started doing for audiences, I was actually creating like a very playful way of watching the audience before I even get on stage, and finding different, I always split the audience in 6 different sections, and finding different people, one person in these 6 sections, and finding that one person which is going to be very responsive to whatever I say. So
that would be me, right?
Exactly. And I would literally like look at those 6 people in the audience in 6 different sections, like imaginary sections, right? And I would be very playful with them and making jokes and literally just like give my best to those people, because what we say in neuroscience is that once you focus on one person, actually you're watching one person, but around 10 people around that person are thinking that you're speaking exactly to them because you're watching them. That is the feeling always. So they don't know that I'm looking at that specific person. They know that I'm looking to about 10 people there, right? So use that adrenaline in a very different way, guys, and in a way as a being playful. And now what you learned from Leora, do it as giving a gift. I love that concept. I just absolutely love that concept. Okay, so let me check very quickly. Training is saying, Leora, guide to speak at TEDx New York. I'm not quite sure, Shredding, what that means. If you can put in the comments what exactly you mean by that one. One more question: how to avoid fillers while speaking?
Yeah. Those of us who listen to fillers, we can go out of our minds when somebody is using them a lot. So fillers are usually indicative of being unsure of what you're going to say next. And most of us use fillers when someone asks us a question unexpectedly, and our first response is, while we're thinking. So I find most people need to know they do it because they have no idea how often they resort to fillers. So you have to listen to yourself. So I ask clients to record their side of a phone conversation, perhaps just their side, and listen back. To have a partner or a friend just kind of go when every time they say and you'll get sick of hearing that for sure. And you can use the elastic band trick, but basically you have to get comfortable with silence. And you have to know the power of a pause, which is massively powerful. So while it seems like forever to you, your audience, it's over. That silence is, it's So that you need to know you're doing it. You need to believe you can stop doing it. And then you have to try. You just have to focus on it. So, yeah, I hope it helps. But there are so many options for that. But basically being alert and aware, and then practice. The big P word, practice.
Practice listening yourself as well.
Well, yeah, and one other thing, practice answering questions off the cuff. So there's a game called Table Talk or Table Topics. And I used to be a Toastmaster for many years. It's a wonderful way to learn how to speak. And they do table topics in their meetings. And when your brain moves quickly and you've learned to trust your brain, again, this is all about knowing who you are, getting comfortable in your own skin, comfortable with your own reactions, the sound of your voice, the way you look, which means committing to learning who you are and seeing the good and the not so good, and just saying, okay, I'm going to do the best I can with what I have. And part of that is getting to this place where you don't have to make excuses and you can trust your brain and just, think quickly and be there, be present 100% of the time.
Yeah. One thing I want to share, I was on the biggest marketing conference for Europe. And one of the speakers totally made me realize something what I start using as well. When he finished his speech, basically it was open for Q&A, for questions. And when someone was asking a question, he was always basically starting asking the question, how are you today? Like, what is your name? Let's say Ben, how are you today? That made it very personal, honestly. The audience was about, I don't know, 200, 300 people there. And making it so personal to that person to understand the name and then to ask that person how he or she is doing and then answering the question. That actually also gives a lot of time from a speaker perspective, from the other side. It gives a lot of more time to basically think if they need to think, like some kind of a thinking time. That was really powerful.
And in a live event, if you're the speaker and somebody asks, you always repeat the question, because guaranteed, unless they're standing up and know how to project or have a microphone, half to 3/4 of the people in the room did not hear that question. And so your answer is like, what? What was that? So I always repeat the question, and that allows more brain time too, which is great.
Yeah.
Great idea about addressing them with their name. And yeah, nice. Thanks, Billy. I learned a lot from you at our workshop. Let me tell you, there were things I did not know, and you just filled me up with stuff and inspired me. And I'm just, I feel so lucky to know you.
Thank you. Same here. Totally, totally lucky. Guess who we have in the house? We have Connie.
Hi, Connie.
Connie was together with us at the TEDx Mastermind. That's why both of us were like, whoop, whoop. Good morning, Connie, to you too. Amazing. And Shrenik is saying, thanks so much for the elaborative response, Leora. So huge thank you. Guys, if you have any kind of questions, that is the time to put them in the comments below, because we're going to wrap up, but I've got one last question. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you do want to share with our audience today?
That's a good one. Yes. So here it is. And it's something that kind of seems like it might come out of the blue. But if you're a person who knows what your personal values are, if you've ever looked at a list and made a list of personal values, and things like courage and curiosity and generosity and community and adventure were on your list, then I think you are the perfect candidate for a TEDx talk. and for giving your gift to other people, because those values, they imbue everything we do. And if your value is to be of service, then your knowledge and experience is a way to manifest that value and to help other people be happier, be healthier, live longer, whatever it is. And that's your gift to them. And everybody has a gift. Everybody has a gift.
Absolutely loving it. Okay, guys, put in the comments below what is one thing what you're gonna always remember from today's chat with Leora. Leora, thank you so much for being my guest. Thank you so much for getting up so early, because in Chicago right now it's very early. It's like 6:30 in the morning. You can go back to bed or start your day early today.
Well, I'm going to do some writing, and then I'll take a nap, and then I'll get up and start again.
I love it. Thank you so much for just wait for me in the green room for a second. To all of you, thank you so much for joining today's show. I'm gonna see you next Friday. It's an amazing topic next Friday. Just stay tuned. Connie, sending love to you as well. And I'm sending love to all of you wherever you are around this beautiful world. I'm gonna see you next Friday. Sending you love and energy. Have an amazing